Welcome to the MJ38 show, podcast, all the above, whichever you choose. Episode number 2. Thank you for joining, tuning in. Hope you're having a fantastic day. How is your day going?
It's going. I'm having a real Friday on a Thursday.
Friday on a Thursday?
Friday on a Wednesday. Thursday. It's a Thursday.
Yeah. What do you mean?
Just not the day I expected to have. Because
Offbeat, a little off tempo?
Yeah. I don't want to say I got crazy high on the podcast, but maybe we can just bleep that part.
Okay.
But I woke up a little late. You know, my alarm wasn't going off. I was like rushing to get to where I was supposed to go, and I didn't have what I needed to bring. And then I was like, and they needed the magic right there. Bah, 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 bah. And then it was just like, make a play, make a play, make a play, make a play. Now we're here.
Audible.
Omaha all day.
That happens often. It happens often.
Other audibles, I was like, Seattle, Wyoming. I had to get out there.
I had to go outside of the Audible box.
Yeah.
The Audible book. I had to buy a new book.
That shit was. We're here though.
It gets rough.
This is my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah, because everyone has plans, or ideally you should. I think you should. I think everyone needs some sort of plans, and I guess in order to have those plans, you need some sort of routine to build those plans out of. So ideally you have some sort of routine and plans, but you got to know that shit can go out the window any second. Man makes plans and God laughs, or whatever the proverb is, or the adage.
I mean, I make plans and I fuck up. That's what it was today. I guess you may make plans and God laughs.
You have to operate on a different playbook for a while.
Yeah, true. Like,
you don't get that job or whatever.
Yeah, having to call Omaha just in general.
A big Omaha.
Yeah, that's a massive Omaha. Yeah, I think a lot of times, like, or just you think that there's going to be 20 people at work and there's 16 people at work, and it's like, that's even in Omaha, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you weren't ready for that.
Yeah, anything you're not ready for, I feel like you got to Omaha to that.
Omaha.
And a lot of times I go in with like a
Shout out Peyton Manning. Yeah. For those of you who don't know what we're referring to or what that is.
And Audible is at the line of scrimmage, they would change the play to something else.
You have one play called, that's not going to work. Omaha, we need to change that.
Omaha, I'm changing it to something that will work.
They're ready for that one. We need to change it.
Nice explanation. We're going to do a better job of that.
We need to do some of that too.
So, I go in with my plan like every day. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, and then hopefully I get these 5 things done.
Hopefully by this time.
Yeah, but then sometimes it's not going well. Like, I overslept and I haven't gotten my lift in, but I went to work and I ate kind of right, but I did the other things, but I got to get this lift in or it's not right. So we're going to Omaha and work out after work. And that shit's tough. But we got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do. You got to make it happen.
Yeah, so I go in with the plan and then try to make the audible so that we can get the accepted outcome every day. Because I don't like to just lose. So you call Omaha's. Because, like, if any time...
like, if you know you're going to run a play and you know it's going to be a loss, might as well switch it up.
Yeah,
might as well switch it up.
Sometimes you don't have an option, right? If you had plans and those plans got canceled, like, you could just do... Like, you don't have to do nothing, but you could just sit in your room all day and be like, well, that play didn't work. Call the Omaha, go do something else. You know what I'm saying?
Go do something else.
Yeah.
With full intention too.
Yeah, for sure.
You could be sour about it.
Trying to hit.
Yeah, still try to Omaha, but still hold on to the negative energy of resentment of like, I wish it was the way I wanted it to be.
Yeah,
and then just carrying that with you, it might make the new situation that you had to Omaha into like a little worse than it needs to be.
Yeah, some audibles are touchdowns.
It's like, yeah.
You know, wouldn't you want to be in a good mood?
Touchdown speak. Yeah. Sometimes the audible is the more enjoyable experience overall.
Yeah, like it was beneficial that you went there instead of there.
Yeah, didn't your dad experience that with like a cruise or like
go
on an excursion that was an unplanned, like let's do something. Oh, those plans kind of fell through. Let's do something else.
Yeah, exactly. And then they like went on plans that their friends planned because they were gonna stay while their friends went. But then it got flip-flopped, so they just took their friends' plans and went on that trip. And it was, like, off of the beaten path, but, like, on the mainland. And they said it was the best day, like, they ever had, or one of the top 10, you know what I'm saying?
Great vacation experience.
Incredible.
That's what you want.
Exactly, yeah, perfect audible. Just
like, can I get the great vacation memories, please?
That's all anybody wants.
Some people go on vacation and it's terrible. It's a terrible time.
Dude, can you imagine?
They argue or like they're like, whatever, man.
They make me sick.
Shit happens. They lose their luggage.
My grandma shattered her femur on a vacation. Oh. Yeah. Or maybe it was her elbow or something, but...
How deep into the vacation?
It had to be like 4 days, 5 days.
At least she got to experience it. Day one.
We were in the Key West for
Walking
sure.
Off the plane. No, 4 or 5 days. but still,
Yeah,
that sucks.
That did suck.
And then to go and then to carry that back into regular routine life.
Even as a kid, I remember thinking to myself, like, thank God I don't have to deal with that. Like,
that looks like a lot.
That's ass. I'm so happy. I'm just gonna go play with these cool Miami toys I got. Like,
let's go to the beach.
We'll go practice my Backstreet Boys routine for the concert going on later. I love you, Mom. Like,
yes,
that shit sounded tough. But yeah, as an adult, you got to bear all of that consequence of everything that happens. So, but I don't think that. Maybe we shouldn't have taken Grandma on a vacation on a cruise, and she was kind of fragile. No, you're right. She's kind of fragile.
Oh, okay.
She was more fragile after that, for sure.
Yeah. Evidently so.
I agree with the spirit of what you were saying. Why wouldn't you take your grandma on a cruise? Like,
a cruise is good time.
Yeah,
good time. Grandma, good time. Come on.
What's the problem?
Why not? There's a fragility concern. Valid argument, and it proved to be a very valid argument in this case. Unfortunately, so.
She went on.
Sucks.
She went on to go on at least a few more cruises after that. So it's not like that.
Okay.
Yeah, that didn't stop her.
She got back on the horse.
Yeah, it was just an unfortunate vacation event. But like,
how many cruises has this lady gone on?
More than 5, probably less than 10.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've gone on 0. I really want to go on 1.
Well, I don't want to be rude when I say this, but I feel like
on a couple.
A cruise is kind of like a poor person's vacation in the sense where it's kind of easy to take them, where they're just not very expensive, and you get to go around the world.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I was poor. I'm happy to have gone. I am poor. I'd love to go on a cruise.
It sounds like a credit, or not credit, but a value vacation.
I should have just said
a valuation.
There was 1,000 ways to say that.
Sounds very, yeah.
But on South Park, I feel like they painted up. No, this is where it stems from.
They've alluded to it on South Park.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the? I have no.
Like white trash broke people will go on to cruises and like having the time of their life.
That's what happens on the episode.
Yeah. But it's just funny because especially since COVID and stuff like that, it really is not super expensive to go on a cruise. So I guess whenever I'm saying like my grandma went on a lot of cruises, I'm not saying she's white trash. She's not. She's a wonderful lady, super wise.
Love that lady.
Yeah. But it's not like a super. I mean, yeah, but that's cool though. That like it's not a crazy thing like impossible to do.
Yeah, but
it is a super like we should go on cruises. I think we talked about doing one by like next February, next March.
I want to try one. They got a lot of stuff to do.
It's cool
every night.
Yeah, for sure. It's like being in a downtown area of it's like
a floating Vegas.
Yeah, a comedy scene.
Gamble, right?
Yeah, there's when I went on mine, there was like a casino in the middle, and then on like the port side. No, I'm just kidding. One of the sides. I don't know which side, but there was like,
stern side.
Yeah, starboard. I don't know.
Starboard.
There was like a piano bar, and there was like a karaoke bar room. And then there was like a comedy club where someone was doing stand up.
That's tight.
And then there was like an art exhibit going on where you could go like bid on the pieces of art on the wall and shit like that, like a silent auction.
Okay. And
then they had like events in the silent auction room with something else the next night. They got like shit going on every day. But like it's kind of like touristy in the sense where you could get bored with that, just like Vegas. It was fun to like sit. My dad and I didn't really want to gamble, but I'd imagine it'd be fun to sit there and play blackjack for a few hours, 4 or 5 hours.
It might be fun. It might be a little fun.
But then the other thing is the destination that you go to, I think matters a lot too. If you go to like a cool place and you can get off the boat, and because sometimes you go to a place that's just lame or not lame, but there's not a lot going on.
Or like the timing of when you go is like a shitty time, or like it rains. Whatever.
Exactly. But the cool thing is if you do it right, the boat ride is fun because it's like floating Vegas. You're like fucking piano bar drunk. You're playing blackjack. Like obviously
you're hanging out at the pool.
Yeah.
You're tanning. You're playing basketball. They got a gym.
Heaven might be a cruise boat.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they got a casino. They got a gym. I'm sure they got a basketball court, a pool.
Yeah. You're on the money.
Yeah, lazy river,
dude. And like I'm just like keep wanting to look at the camera because I want to be like I'm getting convinced over here that this is a great trip. All I want to do is read a book whenever I was on the cruise ship because it was like I have everything I could possibly want to do and no pressing obligations, and now I can read. It's like read here. Yeah, it felt so easy. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Damn it, dude.
Free of obligation.
Yeah. That's a nice, and like you're on your way to you're in transit.
You're literally like almost out of contact.
Yeah. Nowhere
on the continent.
You're off the grid.
You're off the grid.
And like, there's something about being on your way somewhere. Like you couldn't do Like there's no obligation. Like you're on your way. You know what I'm saying?
What do you mean?
So like,
I was just gonna say, like, yeah, you wouldn't be able to sell potentially like, come onto this cruise ship that doesn't go anywhere, and still experience the cruise ship, but none of the travel. Like,
just take a lap.
don't even do that. Just,
I think
just have it sit in the water.
Yo, that's what
I don't think
they have
that's
that in
not as
Missouri.
attractive. It's not as what?
That's like Ozarks, right? Was like
Oh, like yeah, like a
boat casino.
river boat, yeah, or like a riverfish gambling boat.
Yeah, but that's a gambling boat. That's not like a
No,
whole this whole thing we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, very similar.
It's similar.
Yeah. But what were you saying? I guess part of the allure is the traveling somewhere.
Yeah. So
In
like,
what sense?
You're just so free because like you can't be.
Oh, it's like you're driving somewhere, but you don't have to drive.
Yeah, exactly. And you can't do anything until you get there. So like you're just in this space. You're in this bubble.
You're mad passenger.
You're just like, oh well, what do I have to kill this time?
Happy passenger.
You happy? Yeah, way better.
A lot of things to kill time with.
Yeah, it's super fun. I mean, I'd kill for some time to kill right now. You
Yeah,
know,
some time to kill.
It'd be the best to be able.
free time.
Oh yeah, and so, but then yeah, like if you're wasting time, that's not good. That's the flip of the coin. So you know you're not wasting time because you're on the way somewhere. So it makes it super enjoyable. So if you do it right, you have an enjoyable trip to the place, and then you get there and you get off and you enjoy being in like the Key West or like fucking the Bahamas or whatever.
Couples, like I guess go into like a downtown Vegas type area with it's like traveling abroad.
An exotic vacation, ideally.
Yeah, because I go to Vegas. You know what I'm saying?
That's your
like,
vacation.
It's like some people they want to travel to a different country.
Yeah.
Like to South America or somewhere in Europe or whatever.
Yeah.
So within this, they're able to like experience the Vegas trip until they get to like they get like two birds, one stone.
Yeah. It's so nice.
That's kind of nice.
It's kind of nice.
I like the allure. I don't know.
It's a lot of
I'm
food
in.
too, like free food. There's got to be a nice weight room. I don't know if I was
Never seen
lifting
one?
weights. I went when I was 18, but I don't think I lifted weights. But I was playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
That was fun. And then it was just so fun. I read a book like when we were like,
Yes.
it was.
That sounds like something you would do on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
It's like I never read books
Nah.
unless I'm on a cruise ship.
Yeah, or traveling like, and you're in a hotel room or some shit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it was nice. It was fun to read a book. It was fun just to hang out. It was fun to play cards. I mean, fucking, we all want to play cards.
Playing cards is fun.
Yeah, just playing cards like.
But the stakes have to be there.
I like where you're at.
The potential for loss has to be there.
I'm with you.
Also with the potential for gain. Obviously.
People like the friendly. Like my dad just wanted to play like gin rummy. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like you could just play like cards.
We'll play craps at my mom's house with like the crap table set up and like we'll have like quarters.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, but there's
I'm into that.
It's still fun. It's still fun to get in the reps.
Maybe my dad's kind of like wrestling with that thing, like just like the bare naked truth of that thing that you're saying, which is that like, no, I need to have that.
I need the risk.
He's like, no,
that's part of life.
You don't need the risk.
I need the death.
You don't want that. You don't want that. But I get it. Yeah, for sure.
Both sides of the coin are very
I'm into that.
prominent.
Yeah, let's go on a cruise. I want to have financial independence. I'm sure everybody would like that.
Of course.
But
sounds like a great idea.
Maybe by our birthdays we can go on a cruise.
Yeah.
That'd be tight.
Well, we're going to Vegas December. Vegas is the sheesh.
Apparently all I got to do is get a ticket.
Just get a ticket.
I said I could stow away.
There are plenty of beds available for sure, dude. No worries.
Heard.
Vegas is fun. For those of you who haven't been,
I'll be there.
It's a good time. If you go with a good group and you might you plan maybe a couple things, like go see a show and go to see something and go to see or go eat somewhere. Like those three things, and like you'll have a pretty good trip, even if you don't like gambling. And then also, I like throwing the things in there, even if you do like gambling, because if you're doing those things, you're not gambling and not losing money. Because
I was like, not my problem.
Time spent gambling is money lost over time. There are spans within that time where you win. There are times within the entire time spent where you're up and you're up and you're up. But the entirety of the time overall, you're gonna trend downwards. So like if you're able to play and get up, you should just bounce.
Yes,
bro. Just
because
bounce, bro. Please
like downtime
take it from
and
everyone.
Uptime. So if you ride the uptime curve, get out. And
Get out.
some of your downtime curve will be you were at a restaurant.
You'll be
balling.
Yeah, you're like, I'm spending $80 on this show, but like I could have been losing $200 at the table.
Yeah.
In this hour and a half, 2 hours that I'm here at the show.
Yeah.
And I'm entertained.
The other thing is feel up. Like I'm gonna give y'all a game right now.
The feeling of being up is so real.
Like be up if you're up, you should leave so you can feel up for another 3 or 4 hours. That's the thing. And then your energy is so real if you are down and then you leave and you go somewhere else and you have sour grapes and you spend a bunch of money because you're in Vegas and you're like, God, that's
And
even
you're
more
trying to
money.
get it back.
And then
You're trying to get it back.
you're like, I need it back. I hate feeling like this. And then you're going to do worse. It's like you need to be up. A winner, baby. Vegas loves a winner.
Yeah, you're playing nervous and scared and timid after you just turn the ball over.
Oh, God.
Oh, God, hopefully I don't do that again. Cookies.
That guy's going to get cut.
Cookies.
Watch out.
At least jammed
this.
on by John Moran.
Ugh, that'll break your heart. No,
Break your heart.
you need to. If you get into a hole, it's okay. Like, but dance a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, I gotta dig myself out of this hole.
Like Ali.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Back against the ropes where you might fight the best a little bit.
Yeah, pop and weave sometimes.
And then once you get out back to even, it's like scrap that. Get out of there. Get out. I'm done. Whew, bandit. Then lose.
And that requires discipline.
Yes, for sure. Because it's really
Loads.
easy. You gotta remember your overall game plan too. Because if you just remember like the underlying game plan, it's like being the guy too. I can just relate it to a lot of. I instantly am
Go
like,
ahead.
does this check out?
You are a guy.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
If you are just trying to have sex, then like you're not going to, in my opinion, it's gonna be much more difficult to like find an ideal partner. It's like if you're just chasing the feeling in Vegas of like getting 21, it's gonna be really hard to win money. Like you need to, we have a game plan here. Like I'm trying to do something here. I'm trying to come out on top. So like when I'm up, I need to get the fuck out whenever I feel you feel the boat start rocking. You know, whenever you're like, I'm on a roll, I'm on a roll, I'm on a roll. Boat's rocking. Get out of there. Some people need to see a misstep. If you're a pro, you don't need to see a misstep before you get out. You'd rather get out and lose on a one hitting hand than have to hit a misstep. Because once you stayed long enough to get burned by the fire, it's like that wasn't swift. Like, but if you can like, all right, and there's the crash. Okay, cool. Now I'm out of there.
I see that a lot in craps. I've noticed that a lot in craps recently. Like,
Really?
We went back recently because normally blackjack is my sweetheart. I love playing blackjack.
Me
It's
too.
so much fun.
I'm a down team.
Like all the people at the table you're playing with and the dealer even become like a little social environment in and of itself, and it's just such a good time.
That's my favorite part.
It's such a good time. It's like you're all hanging out in a hot tub,
And you're all
just
trying to
like-
win.
Yeah, you're all hoping for the best. You're all hoping for the same thing, relatively, you know. But with craps, sorry, what were you saying?
That's such a composition of life, right? We're
Right.
all just sitting at a table, like hoping we win a game that most of us lose. You know? Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but recently, whenever we went back this last time, craps was the sweetheart. Craps was fun, and we had like been a little bit more ahead during that. Like in the whole time of playing craps, we won a lot more money than the whole time of playing blackjack was like pretty much in the red, you know. But like I feel it with craps because like you'll have. For those of you who don't know how craps works, it's like you have a starting roll, or it's like the board is blank. Okay, we're going to start. Boom, that's my starting roll. And if it's anything besides like a 7, 11, or a 12, then you're good to go. And 7, 11, or 12. We'll start playing the game. And then once that game's established and the point's established after the first roll, you can start like putting your bets out there, and your bets will stay out there. Some of them are only good for one roll. This roll right now, I think it's going to be a 12. Okay, no, it's not a 12. Give me your money back. But there's some of them where you're like, okay, I think it'll be an 8. And when it ever is an 8, I think it'll be 2 4s instead of a 5 and a 3 or a 6 and a 2. I think it'll be 2 4s for an 8. And then that one will stay there until it happens, you know, instead of just a one turn play. So like there's some pieces of chips and money that you can lay out on the table and they'll stay there as long as the game's going. And the game will keep going. But then there's sometimes like the person's rolling and they keep rolling and keep rolling and keep rolling. And then the way they stop rolling and then moves on to the next shooter or person rolling the dice is if they roll the 7. You're not even supposed to say that word. I almost didn't even want to say it. I felt like something inside of me was like, don't even fucking say it on the pod. Don't even say it.
I didn't know. I would have never known. Thank you.
If someone's on a heater at a table and they're like,
let that man be.
Don't even say 7 in like reference to anything. You know what I'm saying? They're like, well, what's the number after 6? It doesn't even have to be like in reference to him.
I will hit you in the mouth.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I have my fingers on my holding up. It's like, well, that's 6.
I counted.
But
don't even get close.
Don't even. It's like, how many drinks is she holding on that tray? Like, that word is a bad juju.
Got it.
So yeah, but if they do roll that 7, then it goes on to the next person. Okay. And if they roll that 7, all the money that's on the field that you have left out on there, it all goes away. So like, there's a time where you're going, like you start out, okay, they roll 1 time. Okay, here we go. Boom, I put something down. They roll 2 times. They roll 3 times. I'm putting a little bit more money out. And then by the time they rolled like 7 or 8 on 10 in a row, I have like, my initial bet was $5 to start playing. And now it's bumped up to like on the whole board, I have like probably like $20 or $30 on the board. And it stays out there, though, as long as they keep rolling. But if they roll the 7, all of it goes away. So there are times when I'm like, we're rolling, we're hot, I'm hitting on the field. Oh, I'm hitting right here. Okay, we're hitting. I'm putting more on it. Okay, bam, bam, bam. They've hit They're bound to crap out. They're bound to crap out. They're bound to hit a 7 right here. Let me pull all my money back. Boom, 7. You know, so I'm like, oh, I lost, but I won. Fuck you, bro.
Yes, let's go.
You know what I'm
Let's
saying?
go.
So,
I just dabbed into that imaginary win. I was like, nice, good job. I was there with you in Vegas.
It happens. Yeah, you have all this money on the table, and you're like, that looks risky.
Yeah.
I'm pulling all of it back.
You gotta smell the room. You gotta smell the moment and play like a professional.
That's the professional play.
Yeah. Yep.
That's the mature and disciplined play. It took a while to get there.
Yeah, and that's easier to do. It's not just like
it costs money to get there.
It's not just like depriving yourself. It's not just like, okay, I don't get to play anymore. It's like play a more valuable game. Play the harder game, which is actually winning, and then
over the long term.
Yes.
At the finish line, like whenever you leave, you're gonna leave this trip. Like the finish line's approaching. And that's why I advise putting events in there to prolong some, or like to accelerate some of the time to the finish line where you're not losing money at the tables.
That's a good balanced trip. Trip.
Yes, so we've been doing that the last couple times, and it's been a great time.
Yeah, because I'll get stuck in the alert too of being at the. I love playing blackjack until the sun comes up. But the problem with
I can play all day.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. The problem is I'm doing it because I love it. I'm not doing it to make money for the hours between 3 a.m. and 7 a.m.
There you go.
Yeah.
And sometimes the dealer will be so nice and so cool, and they're like great conversationalists, and they're just like, oh, where are you from? Blah, blah, blah. So interested in you. And they're just like, oh, no, I'm trapped. In order for me to keep this conversation going, I'm going to have to pay you, more or less, lady.
It's like $10 a sentence, lady.
Yeah, I'm paying the house. I'm not even paying you.
Yeah. Yeah, you're just this fucking robot that's better than, I mean, damn. This extension of this corporation is what I'm trying to say. No, but...
That's where some of the lure
it's like being at a bar.
Because
like I just want to hang out, but I don't want to hang out at a bar. I want to play a game. So she's like, you know what I'm saying? Like an evolved bartender for me specifically.
And you win money at this game.
So, no, you don't.
You could.
You could.
You could.
A professional does.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
I've seen it and I've experienced it.
Both.
I've done it, bro. That time we went to Shreveport after we quit our jobs on some really chaotic shit.
Preach.
Went to
testify.
Drove our asses over to Louisiana, Shreveport, and over there you can gamble, boys and girls. We are in Texas currently, where you cannot gamble, I guess, legally, in the way that I wanted to. So
I like
we went to a casino.
Yeah.
We went on down to the Gold Nugget Casino, right? Gold Nugget.
We went to the Gold Nugget.
Okay. Gold Nugget Casino. We played blackjack the whole time because blackjack was our sweetheart for the longest time. Craps was a new thing to me, relatively new. But blackjack was a sweetheart. Went to Shreveport, played a lot of blackjack. Great time. I started with, because I was seasoned in my own mind. I'd been to Vegas a couple times. I kind of knew what was going on. I was like, okay, I'm going to go in with $80 to this first table. $80. If I lose all $80, okay, I'm going to get up and try another table. And then I went in, lost probably like $50, maybe, and then won back most of it, got back to even, and then I left. I went to another table, same approach, and then I maintained that approach. And then eventually, after leaving up a couple tables, I just maintained that approach. Every table I went, here's my 80. Or it was like, I guess I calculated like, 8 hands. So $10, 8, or I guess you do $40 if you want to do $5 a hand.
Right.
For eight hands worth of total play.
Right.
And if I lose all eight of these hands, it's not in the cards for me. I'm not on the upswing of the time where I'll be winning in gambling if I can't win now. Or if it's not happening within this 8, it's probably not happening for me. So I'm going to go try somewhere else.
Right.
Either way. I maintained that strategy. $80, that turned into like $1,100. $1,100.
Slasher.
You can win money.
You can win money.
It can happen.
Yeah. We lived in the world where...
I was up.
We lived in the world where Justin was up.
We were kings.
We went to Starbucks and Justin
kings.
was like, what do you want, Matthew? Anything you want.
We were
I was
kings.
like, I'll take the whole thing with the extra pumps.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, word, because here's the thing, Matthew. I just learned how to play poker. And
Blackjack.
I call it poker. Like finance. That was Justin's vibe right then.
I love it.
It was like, I don't even remember. I can't even. It's so hard for me to tell this story because I lived it. I was too close to the sun for me to really. Someone further back than me needed to tell the story of us in that moment. But we were just so sure that we had figured out our financial issues.
I thought it was a written done deal, bro.
Every week or
Signed,
so,
sealed, and delivered.
maybe every 2 weeks, we were gonna trip on out to Louisiana.
I'm gonna come out here once a month or so.
I'll
Make a rack or two.
What do you think? A couple racks? Let's say we make 5 racks. 5 racks a trip. It's not that hard, bro. I can teach you, man. You need to be a slasher. You need to.
Oh my god.
And for a second, we
I
thought...
wish I had the audio clip from that actual conversation at that Starbucks.
Because we were thoroughly convinced we were going to step back on the floor, make another $2,000.
Keep moving. Keep making another 1,000.
Drive home.
Drive home. Big up.
Big up. We ain't going back to work ever.
With a new job. With a new job. A new lucrative career unfolded in front of me.
Yes. And I don't know exactly.
You know how the story ends.
Yeah, true.
You all know how the story ends.
I'm not sure how we got there, but we
I don't know how. I couldn't tell you. I could not tell you. We got there the same way we got there. We got down the same way we got up. I don't know. Either way, I don't know. But it's a real thing. Like, the being up is real, man. It's a real thing.
It was real.
I lost all that 11 and some. All that 11 and some. Wrecked.
I call it committed. He never stopped shooting.
Oh, I never stopped shooting.
We had to pull him out of the gym.
Shooting. It was bad, man. Up to that Starbucks. We should have left at Starbucks, man.
This is wisdom.
Leave when you're up.
Leave when you're up. Leave when you're up.
Leave when you're up.
That was the moment. We might have been right. Imagine our lives. We might have come back.
If you're right.
You know what I'm saying?
If we would have just left at that Starbucks and then had come back later on and tried it again.
Yep. And we might not have been wrong if we would have. And then again, who knows what are for the pod.
Then we find craps.
Yes, bro.
It evolves. We start trying baccarat.
So this is what I'm. But this is the life thing that I'm saying though, is that if you leave up, like, and don't do it dirty. Don't like commit yourself so that you legitimately go up, and then leave, like, not ceremoniously, but like. Well, in Vegas, it's easy to just walk away. But, like, in real life, for instance, like, whenever I was like, okay, I'm going to leave, like, in, like, a month or so, I'm probably going to leave. And then I was like, all right, here's, like, a 3-week notice. And then it was like, but I had just put in a whole grind on, like, a big milestone before that. So, like, it was, like, the right time to walk away. And then walking away up in that sense, like, gave me I don't know how to explain it, but if you can, like, metaphysically walk away from things that while you're up, like, you did right, you committed yourself, you accomplished the goals, and then you go to the next task. I think that's the way to, like, win money in life. The way you would win money in Vegas. Like, it feels like it's a true thing.
I was saying, okay, you kind of lost me there for a second.
Yeah, I lost myself. I'm not trying to be that podcast.
You were talking about Vegas, or we were talking about Vegas, and then you were talking about something in life? Okay, work.
Yes. Pulling out of just Vegas, like walking away when you're up, but also like in your job and in your employment. If you go on a streak for like 3 or 4 years and you see like the writing on the wall that like maybe it's better to like move to a different company or like go to something else, or like if this thing's been working for you, but you already feel like you need to be able to like pull out and then like rescope and re-engage and then like tap back in. I think that's like
leaving up. Yeah, you don't want to leave on bad terms, per se.
Yeah, super true.
You don't want to fail a project and leave a company or something.
You also don't want to just, like, dunk on somebody and then walk out of the gym and be like, yeah, that pussy knows what's up. Like, I'm up on him. That motherfucker knows. It's not like that. It's like, make hay while the sun is shining. Uh-huh. And then whenever the winter comes, like, go back into your reserve up. And don't be stupid in between. And it's like, sun comes back out, make your hay. And then when the winter comes, like, go back into your reserve.
The winter's going to come.
Yes, the winter is going to come.
The winter comes. You need to... Coming.
And then there's a lot of little increments of growth to be lost if you're not making hay while the sun's shining, and if you don't pull back your money off the field when the storm's coming. Like, you got to be able to do both as like if you're going to make it work. That's what I'm saying. Because we thought sitting in the Starbucks, this was the fascinating thought for me. Sitting in the Starbucks, we thought we were going to be able to make it work. And we might have been right if we would have played the game better. But sometimes I think like something doesn't work and we like pull our hands away from the stove too fast. Like, I got burned. Like, okay, never do that again. It's like, no, you need to cook. Just don't get your hand burned by the stove. You know what I'm saying? It's like, that's what I've put together with the NFL and stuff like that. And like thinking about moving to a state where you could maybe like make some money on gambling on the NFL. It's like, I think that there's a way to do it. There's a way to live your life properly. And then there's a way to play the market properly. And there's a way to make money properly. And you can do those things, but it's like a really high-strung, tight game. You can't really be fucking around. You gotta be super disciplined and on the nose and objectively not biased every day.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's life. Life's complicated like that.
Yeah, I guess I love in reference to what you're saying about like the sun is only make hay while the sun is shining because the sun is only shining for so much time.
Yeah.
And then the sun's not gonna. There's like the sun shining time in which where you can make the hay and do the work and plant the seeds and do the shit. And then there's the reaping of that time, or there's the I guess also time where you can't even work. The sun's not out. You can't make hay. Mm-hmm. And then there's like the storms that destroy some of the work that you may not have protected.
Right. Yeah, and that becomes wasted time from your planting process.
Yeah.
That's annoying.
Yeah, I think sometimes that just happens and you need to take it on the chin.
Because you have to learn.
You need to take it on the chin sometimes. Sometimes you plant. I think Jim Rohn talks about this. Jim Rohn is like a motivational speaker, a very big part of like, I guess, part of the same coaching or personal development tree as Tony Robbins and Zig Ziglar and those people, kind of people like that. But yeah, Jim Rohn talks about sometimes like you plant and sometimes it grows, and then sometimes it hails, and sometimes that's just how it goes. Like, I'm sorry, and like I guess it is time wasted, quote unquote, but it all goes somewhere. As quoting Childish Gambino, I think now you have the experience of the knowledge of how to plant those seeds, even though like the hail has come down and like, kind of ruined your crop for unknown reasons to you.
Yeah,
but it may have been a correct. Maybe that hailing on your harvests could lead you to an Omaha audible that puts you in a different direction, in a better path that's more advantageous to you in the long term. But you can't even see that from where you're looking right now in this current XYZ time coordinate.
I saw an Instagram post I'd love to show you where it's like there's a Chinese farmer and his son falls off a horse and breaks his leg, and at the coffee shop they're like,
oh no,
that's super unlucky.
That sucks.
And he's like, maybe. And then the military police come around the next day, and they're recruiting young boys to take to the army for the war. And his son's like, doesn't have to go.
Medically cleared.
And then at the tea shop, they're like, yo, that's pretty lucky. And he's like, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. And then there's like two more that unwind. You know what I'm saying?
I've heard something like that as well. Because, it is what it is to some degree.
Yeah. You never know what's going to happen a week from now.
Could be a blessing.
That's what I'll be saying.
It could be a blessing.
Another thing, too, is that
you need more time to see it. You need more time to see sometimes.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. That's why I don't think you should ever steal, or like, steal is such a broad word, but so is lie. I like the Jordan Peterson thoughts about like, don't lie. And then he does like a whole chapter on it, but really it's like a whole everything. But then one of the reasons you should never steal is because it's like you don't know what's going to happen to you tomorrow. Like you have no clue. Like
no idea. We have no idea how this works. We have no idea the truth, the true truth behind what happens.
We don't at all, yo.
How this works, like where the future comes from, what influences the future, like truly, you know.
I think it's your
intention.
Yeah, or your like
your heart.
You're building a temple. And then that temple hosts like the Holy Spirit, and then like that thing like, or maybe it doesn't host whatever this thing that you're brewing. It comes into contact with like the Matrix, and I feel like that thing generates your experience. So like you need to try to get your energy and your like heartstones that you touch like strong, so that way you can like generate experience that's like isn't just the bland shit taking over every single day and you're fighting through the doldrums all the time. It's like, this is shit's on my fucking... This is my fucking experience. That's how I see it happening, in my opinion.
I need to explain that again. I'm sorry.
I take my job as a podcaster very seriously, so I don't want to not be able to explain things.
And we're talking about what we think influences the future, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so what do you think influences the future?
So I think that...
Like your soul, not your soul, but...
What you're doing with your... with your story is you're building a temple inside of your like brain or yourself, and that temple is like a construct of all of the foundational beliefs that you've accrued over time, the ones that like had been given to you and the ones that you acted out. And within like I talked about last episode, like your frequency and your energy that you're on all the time, just like how you feel and like where your intentions are and where your like mood ranges to and like what kind of energy you're on. That's hosted within this foundational temple that you've built within yourself. And like that thing is like the generation force, I think, inside of you that reacts with like the material world. And if you don't have a very strong like inward force that expands outward, then like the material world will give you like your box to like sit in, basically. And I think that there is like just a base level experience, and that's probably like good that there's like a matrix more or less, like things going on, so that way you could just like
You exist.
Yeah, when you're young, like you exist, and there's stuff like the world's out there. Like
There's stuff.
start exploring. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people to talk to. And
Go
shit.
on now.
Yeah, for real. Like it's good that there's all this base level shit for you to like figure out. Like what are fucking the foundational heartstones that you have to touch. Like whenever you go through hard things in life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think like you create that experience. But, like, it's very hard to just, like, want something and will into existence by tomorrow. It's not like that either. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, I'm trying to cut out. You know what I'm saying? But the law of attraction makes it seem like you should be able to... My bicycle!
There it is.
Yeah. Or, like, parking spot! Ding, ding. Yeah, I don't think it's like that. It's not like that. And then it's the same thing as the stove almost where... Well, my parking spot wasn't there. This shit's stupid. I don't like any of it. Life's not like that. It's like you need a channel. Channeling something takes a long time. It's like a plant. You need to like fertilize your fields, and you need to like marinate on these things. You need to like become it before you can have it.
And it's also like I think. Oh, sorry, what were you gonna say?
You also can't be something that wants something. That's such a hard part of the cycle is to detach from wanting it and become someone that has it.
Yeah, it's like instead of instead of wanting the bicycle, you should want. Or like instead of trying to visualize the bicycle, try and visualize like the actual use of the like riding a bicycle. You know, like the actual doing of the thing that you're trying to acquire. You know, it's like you're not gonna generate like I guess for example like a podcast by like thinking about the cameras and stuff. You need to think about where you're gonna sit, what it's gonna look like, how you're gonna be oriented. You know, what I'm saying like the surrounding settings. Like visualize yourself in that place, and then that'll bring you the results.
Yeah. Also, like, can you conjure up a feeling? Because I not all the time, but I can conjure up what it would feel like to be on Sway in the morning before
I think anyone
this.
can.
Right?
Yeah, I think we have I think everyone has that superpower within our imagination.
Yeah.
Because we all have access to the realm of thought. Wherever thoughts are occurring, wherever that is, like in my mind or in my head, it feels like, but that's not, you know, like, who knows what's going on. But in the place where thoughts are occurring, in the realm of thought, we all have access to it. We all go to it, and it comes to us sometimes. Sometimes a thought will pop in your head, and it came from the place where thoughts come from.
Yeah, I'm with
obviously.
you.
And like sometimes it'll pop in your head, but you can also self-generate thoughts and make your own thoughts and write a story and do whatever within conscious intention. But within that realm of thought where all that stuff is happening, you can recreate, or like even with that place is where your memories play out and your dreams play out. Like you could like play back a memory and like it plays in your mind. You could like close your eyes and like visualize the memory, like where you were, what you were wearing, like what was on the table, like who's in front of you. You know,
it's
what was
harder
going
to do
on.
when you're pressing yourself to like be able to do it on the spot. But if you're just like thinking about life,
Yeah, you need to be kind of free. You need to be kind of in a somewhat meditative state.
Yeah, you would just do it without thinking about it any other time. It would just you would just do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Which is nuts because the brain is such a crazy thing that you try to do something. It's like thinking about breathing. It's like you breathe all the time, no problem.
You ain't gotta worry about that.
You don't have to think about it. But
You
yeah,
never gotta worry about that.
I know what you're talking about this place in your mind where, you know, the imagination plays out.
Mm. Yeah, I think in that place we can make the things happen. Or yeah, within that place you can visualize the thing that you wanting to have happen, and like I guess that would law of attract it to you. That's kind of like the basis behind that whole theory. But yeah, people get lost in it, or like they kind of misconstrue it, or they just look at it through a different lens or try to simplify it, or whatever. Misconstrue it.
Yeah, I also think with the law of attraction, like you're saying, to feel something like that feeling is the important part. Like, what would it feel like to be that thing?
That's everything.
Yeah. It does seem like it's like superstitious, like, I don't know. There's much more concrete, abstract ways to look at the world, in my opinion.
Concrete, abstract ways.
Yeah.
I love it.
Okay, I could say it in a better way. There's much more like fruitful metaphysical ideas out there that I would put you on, other than just trying to be on the frequency. I mean, that's the part where I think they are right. Like being on the frequency of what you want is how you become that thing. Like if you can walk in with the demeanor of a good presenter and you give a good presentation like a good presenter would, and it's your first or second time, then people would just say, that was a good presentation.
Good job.
Yeah, good. You did a good job. You must be a good presenter. But today you were a good presenter. But that comes, how would you do that? That's the question. Backward engineering, you would do it by coming in with confidence, you know, like being able to articulate different
Reverse
points.
engineering kind of is like the visualization, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Like, this is my end results. And like, or like I've thought about it like within mazes as well. Like, you could start a maze like at the start of the maze, or you could go to the end of the maze, and like it's the same thing either way. So like the visualization is kind of the end of the maze, and then like you kind of, I guess, reverse engineer it back. How would that happen? How would it look like?
Yeah. Wow.
That's tight.
That is tight. But then if it's the same thing forward or backwards, that's the thing about going to buy a book about the law of attraction is you're kind of like neurotically, I guess the fear is that it'll never happen for you. So you're looking for some certainty. If I invest myself fully, is it going to happen? And this book's like, yes, you just have to be weird about it.
What?
Because it's such a...
That'll be $9.
Because there's such a connotation to people who read the books, like the law of attraction. Like I read that.
The Secret.
The Secret. There it is. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I watched the documentary on the book The Secret, and I like believed it when I saw it. I was like, all right, bet. I don't know how to explain it.
Game on.
Yeah. More or less. Does that make me a dummy? I don't think so. I don't think so. Because I'm also here to say that it doesn't work exactly.
There are truths within it. Sorry.
Yeah. I can give you like a better analysis of that shit now that I'm a more grown adult and I have like more wisdom and stuff. And that being that the frequency stuff I think is right. I think that the difference between wanting and having is real. Especially with like relationships. Like there's just something off-putting about someone who really wants to be your friend versus there's someone who's just like a good friend. Like they're just there. They're doing the same thing you're doing every day or whatever it is, you know? Versus it's same thing with, I think, my confidence at the table. There's one thing between being like a salesman, like I really want you to buy this, versus I've got these amazing things. You're in luck today.
You're in luck.
There's a difference, you know?
You can't lose. You can't lose here, lady.
And those things are real. Like those vibrations, those energies, I believe, not that I believe, I just like know, and what the fuck do I know, you know? But like those things
You know your experience.
Yeah, true. In my experience, it seems like the wise money is on people that think like that.
And think like what exactly?
Putting yourself on and the other thing about that is trying to do the right thing. Like being on a positive frequency, being on the frequency of what you want, trying to do right by people. Because I heard Nipsey Hussle talking about right is right and wrong is wrong in any situation, anywhere you are. Like you can't really get around that. So like if you want to cheat somebody, that's wrong. Like that's going to come back on you eventually at some point down the line. And I just, that in relation to...
Delicious.
I'm joking. No, but
we can backtrack it. We're talking about reverse
right
engineering.
versus wrong versus
right versus wrong
versus your energy and your frequency versus like the law of attraction is like.
What were some of the more core truths that you found now in The Secret?
Yeah, no, that was it. Just
wisdom.
like the right is right and wrong is wrong. Is like if you're on the energy, you're on the energy, and if you're off the energy, you're off the energy. So like you have to be in a good place. You have to be like doing the best you can. You have to be like trying your hardest. And then if you set your intentions on like what you want and then keep pushing towards that thing and you put your mind at the place of someone who has that thing and all you know is that thing's coming to you, you'll get that thing. Like that part of the law of attraction is true.
And on the way to getting, I think what helps boost along in that pursuit is on your way to getting that thing, to be kind on the way to everybody on the way up. Everybody. Regardless of rank, position, or whatever.
Yeah.
How they relate to you in the social hierarchy and whatever hierarchy that you all find yourselves in. Be kind to everyone on the way up.
That's the right thing to do.
Because it's the right thing to do.
It's the right thing to do. That charges everything. Trying to do the right thing to do is I think that's the main button to press every day. Because it's not unhealthy to want things. It's not unhealthy to have dreams or passions or like desires. I think that's very normal. There is unhealthy desires, probably.
Yeah, or desires, I guess, desired in such a way that it's in disproportionate balance.
Yeah, right. You do have to... One thing I struggled with when I was young is I didn't want to work, like, ever. I was like, fuck that. Fuck that shit.
I ain't going in.
I like to work for me, but, like... And I sucked at that. I sucked at it, too, though. Oh. I wasn't... Yeah. I didn't know how to work for anybody, much less myself. I thought I knew how to work that.
Work is a skill.
Yeah.
Work is a skill.
So
it's different than go to a place or show up to a place for X amount of hours. Work is like it's so intricate and deep.
Yeah. Yeah,
Sorry,
being
what were you
competent.
gonna
It's
say?
tied into competency, which is like its own skill
think
itself.
I think it's
Yeah.
completely intertwined.
Yeah, working competency. They probably just one for
They're
one.
the
you
same
know?
thing.
Yeah, yeah. So I had to learn how to work for like anybody, I guess, before I could learn how to work for myself. And I didn't want to have to work at all. And that was like an unhealthy desire, was to like create a life in which I didn't really have to work.
That's
Because
kind of like gluttonous, or is that what
Yeah.
that's sin is?
I mean, if I
Or is that like laziness? Is that like what that sin is kind of attached to?
yeah, maybe laziness is gluttony's like
Or
overconsumption.
overindulges. I'm tripping.
Yeah.
I'm tripping. Okay.
But I was also super gluttonous when I was at that age too. Like, I didn't have that in check either. And that, and just I guess for the record, or like what that looked like in my personal life would just be like, even just like ranch, just like so much ranch, just to make
As simple as ranch.
like I would use.
Ungodly amounts on my plate.
Yeah.
Way more than I need. I know I don't need that much.
I didn't want to have to want
Risk it.
Yeah, I didn't want to have to feel like maybe I was running out.
I thought you were gonna say maybe I didn't have enough, like for this particular meal
I didn't want to even feel like I was getting low. I wanted
at
to
all. My supply, you were past that. I don't want to run out on this meal. I don't want to run out of my fridge.
I wasn't thinking that far ahead. That was also part of the problem.
That's funny.
Yeah. So I had to like evolve in those senses, and I'm sure I had desires and wants that weren't like super good for me then. But like
Yeah.
there are healthy wants and healthy desires and passions for life.
Yeah, I think. Well, because I think isn't part of the Buddhism saying like I'm not sure, maybe Buddhism, some religious ties to the adage of desire is suffering, more or less, or like the desire of things like kind of creates the possibility of you not getting those things, and it's like kind of a suffering that you create yourself
There's
for
not
yourself.
a separation of you and that thing.
Mm-hmm. But I think there are healthy wants and desires, and there are definitely needs and desires, and I think that there are healthy ones, and I also think that it stretches beyond that too, because there's only so much that you know about yourself. You know, you don't really know your favorite food until you have experienced eating it. So right now you have a favorite food, but you haven't tried all the food that exists that's available for you to try. So there's probably something out there that is your favorite food, but you have no idea what it is. You have no idea what it is. So like I think you could set your intention on what you construe to be your desire in this current moment, in this current form, who you are right now. Like who I am, I'm this person, and I'm this kind of way with my personality traits, and I'm good at these things, bad at these things. I want to try to use that to do this thing in the future. But that might not be the best plan for you overall in the entire 80, hopefully 90 plus years of your scope of life. So you can only plan so far ahead because you can only see so far because you only know so much. But if you're able to kind of plan, do your best with the plan that you have for the 18 to 24, 36 month time period in front of you. Try to set something that like I want it to look like this in that amount of time. I guess by maybe a 10-year goal of hopefully it looks like this at 10 years. For me, I want to retire in like 10 or 15 years or be able to retire.
Yeah.
So I have like my construed plan. But like I also make all that plan knowing that plans are kind of go out the window calling an Omaha any minute.
Thanks.
So then you have to let that go, but then let that go with the security also. Part of it's hard to let that go. Like, because I just set these desires. Like, I just said I want these things. You tell me to let go of the things that I just said I want to myself? You're setting me up for failure here.
What the fuck, man?
That sounds stupid.
I want them.
That's stupid. So, like, yeah, set them up knowing that you might not get them, but you could get something better. Because you could get something better. So that's like the underlying supportive why you should let that go and why you should be okay with letting that go and letting the situation come to what it may, given that you may have to Omaha out of something that you really thought you wanted. Because you don't know what you want necessarily. And I think that God, the universe, however you construe this thing, I think God knows you better than you know yourself and knows the thing that you want more than you even know what you want. So you have to like try your best to describe what you want and go for it as much as you can, and then know that maybe it'll probably not probably, but it could all fall apart and be replaced with something. Because if it does all fall apart, it has to be replaced with something. Time is filled. You know, there's no empty time.
Yeah, the story keeps going.
The story keeps going. Things progress and grow. So, like, if it wasn't the thing you want, you have to kind of rest on the faith that it could be replaced with something that is even better for you. And you could enjoy even more. Be more lucrative. Be more helpful. Be more healthy for you or whatever.
Fucking yes, bro.
You know?
The Omaha is real.
The Omaha is real. You have to be able to.
So that's why it's important to
lean
have
into
the
it
one
sometimes.
desire, too, because it gives you, like,
They're healthy wants and desires.
the fuel to work you need to learn how to work too, like we were just talking
Yeah,
about.
and the desire or want for that thing could fuel the work.
Exactly. Hopefully, in a
Ideally,
healthy
it
way.
would, yeah.
We're supposed to. I think we're goal oriented by nature. We want to bring food
100%.
home to the tribe, more or less. So, and I think that's what makes your brain operate properly. Is like you're pursuing a goal, and then you're like on a mission, and it's like kind of hard, optimally challenging, hopefully. And then like you get dopamine release the closer you get, and then when you do things that deter you from that goal, you have like bad chemicals drop, and that's optimal. Like that's good for your brain. It's supposed to work like that.
Yes.
It's like exercise. Like your heart's supposed to get kind of revved up during the day and then come back down and then recover a little bit. And then like when you're doing, it's like a car, but not in the sense where a car like breaks down. But if you like don't use, I don't know if that's a good metaphor for a car, but definitely something that works better when you use it. Otherwise, it's not like your body gets unhealthy.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about your brain too. It's important to have those wants and desires. So that way, at least I'm pursuing something right now, and then I'm not like I've been depressed before, and I've had like anxiety be super high, and then I feel like those things like stay in check because
you're working towards something. You're moving.
Yeah,
you're moving.
And I'm
the cruise ship you're on is moving. At least we're going somewhere. Shit, thank God.
Yeah, yeah, that probably.
Not just idling in the middle of the ocean. That's kind of scary.
Yeah, exactly. We've charted a course.
Thank
God,
we're going somewhere. There's land nearby. Hopefully.
Yep. And that put a lot of the depression and anxiety like on its head.
I think that's like the one of the answers to putting depression and anxiety at bay is having the course charted.
Yeah.
For sure. Because we are goal oriented creatures.
Yeah.
And those goals have to be oriented over time.
I didn't know if that was from science or if I was just pulling that out of my ass when I said we're goal oriented creatures. I'm a goal oriented creature.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Jordan. Facts. Like messy, dog.
Yeah, but Jordan Peterson talks about it.
Yeah, I think he mentions something about being goal oriented, or maybe he combines that with the importance of our eyesight. And like how like we're like very visionary creatures, and like and what we look at is kind of almost directly tied to what we're aiming at.
Yeah,
what we're looking at.
We have like a centrifugal. We have like a point of vision.
Yeah, centralizing. Yeah, because we have such a broad POV, and then that POV narrows to such small little points. We could look at like such fine details. I can see like the M on the keyboard, or like I can see like such fine little detail. Or I could just like look at the generality of like my entire POV in front of me. Look at all the way from my peripheral right to my peripheral left. And like from all that peripheral right into left, all the way down to a center, like boop,
yeah,
microscopic, and we can even go microscopic.
But that's all for aiming at a goal
or like orienting ourselves. And what are you orienting at?
Yeah,
what's worth orienting
at? That question's deeper than us, cuz. Shake me. Yeah,
orient yourself where something orienting at.
Yeah, we are orienting creatures for sure.
Yeah. Orientation. What you're looking at. How's your body positioned?
Yeah.
What are your eyes looking at? Yeah, because I think we're goal oriented, for sure.
I think
goal oriented is also kind of synonymous with we're story driven as well. Like we have to operate within a story, and then within that story we have to have kind of time fillers. Or how else are you gonna something needs to be on the pages? Like what's on the pages?
Yeah,
like,
what's the story about?
What's happening?
I mean,
what's the moral of the story?
Some people like the story that's just like the follies of man or woman, but I'm living life, and life has its curves and valleys. It does its things. It rains on days.
It does. What are you talking about?
I feel like that's some people's mindset where sometimes I'm in a place where I'm like, hey, how's that whooping life's ass going for you? You know, are you?
How's the war?
Yeah,
how's the war, brother?
That's real in a lot of places. How's the war, brother? Some people are like, what are you talking about? You know,
what?
I'm excited to go get drinks.
I'm an accountant.
It's Thursday. Happy hour. Thursday.
Yeah. How's the war, brother?
Yeah, and I think that their life is good too, but even I would go on the limb to say most people orient themselves towards people whom are going after big vicious goals. Like we love sports athletes; they lay themselves.
Sorry, repeat that sentence one more time. People orient themselves with what?
Like if you ask yourselves, what are people looking at? People
Okay,
are
okay,
looking.
yeah, I see what
If
you're
you're not looking at a goal, you're looking at someone who's looking at a goal.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I don't want to be
I don't even have to pursue it. Even the visual of someone else pursuing it is exciting enough.
Exactly. And I don't want to. I'm worried. I don't want to talk shit on the podcast. I'm not a shit talker, but part of my personality is about saying hard things.
Say hard things.
Yeah, I talk shit. I'm talking shit to myself more than anybody. I
Believe
promise.
me.
I talk more shit to me than you guys.
Promise.
But yeah, so even if you're not pursuing a goal, you're probably watching someone who's pursuing a goal, and you're talking to someone else about how much you love that guy.
Yes.
Like, and I'm
And
not
you want
talking
them to
shit.
win.
Exactly. But we just
Unless
as
they're a
people,
douche.
we. But as people, we love. Well, you're probably rooting for the other guy then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
The opponent, whoever that guy's going against.
Yeah, your protagonist.
Yeah.
The guy you represent yourself through.
You're my auto antagonist. Whoever you go against is my protagonist, dog. It's like some people with the Cowboys.
Yeah, for sure.
Who are you rooting for? Whoever's playing against the Cowboys.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I fucking hate them. Like,
Yeah.
so
It
the
gets
Red
like
Sox, a lot of the Red Sox fans were just because they weren't the Yankees.
Yankees fans, or yeah. Either way.
Yeah, people who hated them. And so I think that we love people who are willing to like pursue something great, something really hard, something they probably won't get.
Yeah,
and
try
like
to pursue something at a high level.
yeah. Just as a culture, we fucking love that shit.
Yeah, we're gonna say some sacrifice.
Yeah, I think we love to watch them sacrifice too. It's impressive to us. They're like, man, he's fucking giving it all he's got. Like we love seeing that in somebody.
Yeah, I guess we also kind of like whenever you see an athlete like that in this example, or someone like a pianist or something, see someone who's like just balling at their craft. Like you see someone do their thing in front of all the people, and you're like, God damn, it takes a lot of discipline to do that.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
If you're mature,
That's
you
awesome.
see
I love that.
their whole
you should
life.
love that, unless you're just like a cane.
Yeah, some of those are out there. I think that Kane syndrome exists person to person, I think. I guess probably, fucking Twitter, am I right? But
Social media is crazy.
But for the most part, I think people will get blown away. Like, especially on the phone, if you're just seeing something, you'll be like, wow. Like, you'll have that stunned moment.
Or if you're in person, especially.
That's what I would
If you
think.
see something in
I think in
person,
person, that's when people get frustrated. They're like, oh, man. Maybe there's like a astonished moment, and then there's like a fuck that person moment.
I think that fuck that person moment is kind of triggered by the realization that it's actually possible right there.
And
Like seeing it on a screen is one thing, but like if I'm like, that's why seeing someone at a show, like dapping up Jay-Z at a show is crazy, dog.
yeah, for sure.
Shout out my dog right
Yeah.
here, bro. Let me dap that hand. That's some Jay-Z hand right there, bro.
It's crazy. Got Jay-Z dap on this hand. It was
Kanye
dope.
touched my hand,
Kanye touched
and that hand too.
Yeah, sorry, I'm not trying to talk shit.
But Kanye touched my hand.
He did.
But he got a full-on man dap. Like that was like, oh my homie, I haven't seen you in a minute dap from Jay-Z, bro.
That shit was crazy.
That was tight.
His hand felt like he'd worked his whole life.
That's
It did.
that's another story for another time.
It is.
Because we were just talking about something else. What were we talking about?
It's late. That's why our brain keeps not dropping the ball, but we're like,
Retract the ball?
Yeah, but just to step it back like 2 or 3 steps, we were talking about.
Like, people just love watching people do the thing. And yeah, whenever you see it in person, it's way different than seeing it.
And when you see
on
it
the
right
screen.
there next to you, it can be frustrating.
It can be
And
frustrating.
I think it's also tied to how it makes you feel. If it's like shakes your axioms, like you can't lie to yourself and not say that fucked you up. If you're like, oh my God, that was crazy. Then you might be like, man, fuck that. Like, because you just saw it happen, right? You just saw literally also how possible it was. And then whatever bias and whatever you have attached to the person, you might be like, I don't like that person. And they did that thing that I deem impossible. Now I have Cain spirit. But hopefully you should be inspired. Hopefully you should have Abel spirit. When you're like,
Yes.
it is possible. I can do it. He just did it right
You can
there.
overcome. You can overcome. You can do the impossible thing. I think
Yes.
doing the impossible thing is such a valuable thing.
Good God, yeah.
And I guess we have to create a story for something to be quote unquote impossible in, you know? Like then there needs to be a story. Like when Jordan Peterson's talking about like, okay, let's play a game. And it's like, okay. It's like, okay, you go first. And it's like, what? There needs to be constraints. There needs to be some sort of script, or not script, but there needs to be some sort of borders in this game that we're playing so we could know how to orient ourselves towards the goal, like how to win the game that we're trying to play here, because ideally you want to win. So like whenever we're trying to play these games and win, I'm losing my thought again.
When orient yourself towards things that can really doing the impossible.
Yeah. Doing the impossible.
You need to have a story to do the impossible.
Yes. Yeah, you need to have a story to do the impossible in. So I guess like having a football, all the rules of football, the clock and the timeouts and the challenges and all that stuff is like creates situations to be impossible.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this team's down by 24, 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter, and one timeout.
No
Done.
way. No
Done.
way.
I can write them off, baby. Written off. And then they march down the field and do the impossible thing. And it's just like,
love that
oh my
shit.
God. Oh my God. What an elating feeling. You know?
We need story and constraint and rules.
Goliath needs to be constructed. You need to build Goliath.
Well, that's the thing about fucking life, dog, is life is story. Life will give you story.
Life will give you story.
Yeah, you probably do have a Goliath in your life, and you probably do have to find a way to be a David. And like, that's the cool thing about games is we did construct these ways to create simulations that we'll point towards as in our everyday lives. But if you're like, I think if you're tapped into your story enough and you're willing to Abraham and like step out of your fucking shit and go into the world unknown, like it'll be fucking wild out there. You're gonna have to do the impossible. You're gonna have to do the impossible, motherfucker, and it's gonna be great.
Your story's gonna play out in a way where you're gonna be faced with what you deem to be impossible.
Yeah, and all that time you spent watching your favorite people do the impossible things, it was all like pointing towards your own moment. Like I think it's all tied together. I think all your favorite athletes are your favorite athletes because it's like that's your. Whether you like them, even if you like them because of like arbitrary reasons, like you like that person because they're a pretty boy, it's like that's something that's inside your temporal lobe that like points towards something in you that's gonna point towards like whatever lesson they had to learn it's gonna speak to what you're gonna go through.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So anything that you like what you think like your brand would be, or like all of your favorite music and artists and movies and books and all of those things are pointing to things, and like you liking them points to something in you. And thus, like when you go to play out your story, all of those are part of the foundational stones in your pyramid that I was speaking towards.
Talking about, yeah.
Yeah, like you're gonna have to touch those. You're gonna have to think about like the stuff that you saw, and like all the answers lie within you, and it's based on all of the things that you were attracted to, I think. And so that's what
was I drawn to?
Yeah. And it's because you have a story innately. Like, you're in a story, bitch. I tell myself that
You
all
are.
the time. Like,
that's just absolutely. You woke up today. Like, we're at this time. It is around 9 o'clock. So like we're nearing the end of the day. So like we're nearing the end of the page or whatever of this particular page in this particular part of the chapter of this book of whatever series you're in your lifetime. But you're in a story.
And the scary thing about that is like
things are happening.
Yeah, I could have not done everything I had to do today, but like what would have happened is not that those things didn't just not get done. It wouldn't, or I guess what I'm saying is it wouldn't have been like those things didn't happen. Like those things I would have not done those things today. And then tomorrow, if I just didn't do anything I was supposed to do tomorrow, it's not like those things don't happen. It's that I didn't do any of those things. Like those things are fucking happening. Like your responsibilities are coming every single day. And that shit is real, motherfucker. You got to handle that shit. It's scary.
Everyone's due every day.
Yeah. There was no time to oversleep. Like some days, yes. But like once you get this shit to like high functioning level, there's no time to be fucking up. Like at all.
Yeah, but you gotta figure out how to be operating at a very high efficiency and then figure out how to maintain that for as long as possible.
Yeah. I guess to the point where you gotta plan vacations. You gotta plan how you're gonna get out of this shit for a little bit. I need people to cover me.
I need an exfil.
Yeah, for real. Because there's no the story just, and then I mean the cool thing about the story is like I think that vacation like is part of, there is alleviation from the grindstone. Like the story's bigger than just one aspect of what it is that you're doing. Like there's going to be a love interest, like there's going to be vacation, there's going to be like comedic humor, there's going to be irony, there's going to be foreshadowing, there's going to be good characters and bad characters, there's going to be like characters that you didn't see them flipping from good to bad or bad to good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And like I think that I think that because we were talking about life being a story, and like I think it's how it goes, bro. And I think that partially also a belief that I have that helps support that belief is the idea, because I remember asking Barbara, my one of my old physical trainer clients, trainee clients, I guess. Yeah. And but she was, I think she taught English for a while, and I remember asking her, and I was like, what do they call like foreshadowing and metaphors and like things of that nature? You know, like what is that like? Is there a name for those things? And I don't think there is. Like there's not like, I don't think they group them in a category and call them these are these things.
I want to say writers call them like literary tools.
Literary tools, like literary
elements,
something like that.
But that's so loose.
But I think that's like, we didn't make those up. We didn't create foreshadowing. We didn't create metaphors. We didn't create character arcs. We didn't create apexes of stories. We didn't create full circle moments. We didn't create any of that. We just put labels on them because they were already happening in front of us. And we're just like, oh my God, there's so much more to what's in front of me than I can even imagine. Let me try to put it in a screen and put it in front of somebody.
Yeah. Art imitates life, right? To the max. The best writers were, in my opinion, I mean, I wasn't there, but probably the best writers were probably the ones that were the best at imitating life. So if your story...
Shakespeare.
Bah, bah. The foreshadowing that they saw, they were like, oh, life is like that. I did see that coming the way that I saw it coming in this thing right here. Or like the way irony, or like...
yeah. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You know, you as the viewer, you saw the timing of this guy missing that guy and that guy missing this girl, but they don't see each other missing it. Like that, someone saw that in real life. They were like, "Oh my God, he doesn't know and he doesn't know," but that means. And then they were like, "Oh shit!" And then the best writers were the ones that found the things about life that were funny to someone who was just watching life. But if you were in life, you didn't see it. And I think that that's the first examples of that's why I love art, because art. I try to live my life in tune with the truth and in tune with life, because the best artists imitate life the best.
Yes.
So I thank God I don't have to do something weird like be counterculture or be like, to be an artist, all you have to do is try to understand life. And so from Shakespearean times all the way.
Sorry, understand life and then express it in whatever medium you got.
I guess that's relatable, right?
Mm.
That's part of it too, is being relatable so that people can like understand your expression. But the core element of that is, I don't think if you were really good at expressing life, but you didn't understand it at all, because there were probably that's what I'm saying too, is there were probably a lot of writers in that time. But the one reason that Shakespeare even still stands out today is because of the way he related to life to everybody else. And I think that was through those literary elements, probably.
Mm-hmm. Or his recognition of those literary elements in his own life.
Yeah, by putting them in.
And then bringing them to written form.
Yeah, that shit's so hard.
It's crazy.
All the way up to like where we're learning about it now.
Life is
like
a story.
When I was in
Life is
high
a story.
School. It's fucking tight, bro.
Yeah, and like I love it because also tying into Jordan Peterson. If y'all don't know who that is, we're probably going to be referring to him a lot in this podcast.
My fucking dog.
Jordan Peterson is my dog. He's one of my like coaches, one of my foundational coaches of like all my thoughts, more or less. Really, I've watched a lot of this man on YouTube. He's a clinical psychologist, professor, smart guy, probably the smartest man I've ever seen. But all that aside,
yeah, he's got his flaws. Everybody does.
Everyone's got flaws.
He's definitely I've come to a realization that he's definitely like, he's a harsh coach.
Mm.
He's a very harsh coach. Probably one of the harshest coaches out there. So is Nick Saban.
Harsh. That's good though. You want to win.
But on top of that, when he says something, like even I listen, and I don't always listen to everybody that when they say something.
Yeah.
But when he says like, "Don't do this," that's bad. And even if I was like maybe doing that, I'll be like, "Oh, okay."
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you need people that are such a harsh coach that when they say, "No, don't do that," you'll just say, "Okay."
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
Yeah, you need that a little bit.
Yeah, that's why I like Jordan Peterson, even though he's got his flaws or whatever.
Yeah. But he has he makes mention of like life is a story, and there's one lecture he's talking about, and he says, if I were to ask you like how'd your morning go, you would tell me something. But if I like, let's say for example, like I'm giving my recount of my morning, it's like, okay, well I woke up and I was laying in my bed and I was staring at the ceiling and I was blinking and breathing during the whole process. My sheets were black and I was wearing white pajamas. And it's just like, what's going on? What's going on here? Is like all this information is kind of irrelevant, or like it seems sort of irrelevant. So like there is information, like there is a discrepancy between what constitutes relevant information and irrelevant information within a story.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's to say,
or like like these, there's like just like your interpretation of your story is kind of like creates the story. It's almost writing itself in that sense, you know? It's kind of weird. And like you need to be able to interpret some information a little differently and give different weights to different events.
Yes.
Weigh things a little bit differently and be able to alter your perspective of things, because you have a set intention and you have a goal in this story, and then things don't work out that way. But yeah, you need to be able to analyze information in kind of in a different sense and make things relevant and irrelevant, kind of like we were talking about last time.
Dude, that's blowing my mind right there. Because a lot of things happen every day, and
so much is going on. There's so much is going on.
You can't if you give weight to all the bad things that happen, then you're having a bad experience. If you give weight to all the good things, but you're not, there's like a way to do that where you fuck yourself over time. Where it's like you were only seeing the good stuff in somebody, but you're not seeing the gambling problem they have.
You were turning a blind eye to the things you knew could be red flags, quote unquote, or
Yes.
it could be a downfall in some sense.
100%. And you should have taken heed to those things and covered your bases.
You should have covered your bases. You should have listened to your fears.
Yes. There's ways to do it wrong on both ways. So you do have to give weight to like the proper weight to the proper things.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, it's like the nature. The people who do the best at that will arise over time. Or even in your own story, if you don't give proper weight to proper things, you won't arise. Or like me personally. I know as soon as I did start to give proper weight to proper things like discipline and commitment and
Telling the truth.
And being my best self.
Yeah, staying true to your word.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what else goes into that vein. But like those things, and then taking away some of the anxiety stuff too. Like I would like being not careful with my money feels like a way of like feeling good, but like at an expense to myself later. So like I was like more careful with my budget and like more careful with just other ways to like balance what's going on. And then
or it's like or I guess in the example of like financially, it's like, do you want this thing now or do you want it to feel better later? You know, like, do you want to feel a little bit better now or do you want to feel a little bit better later? And then you need to change the weight of how you you need to reduce the intensity of the want it now feeling and increase the intensity of the want it later feeling.
Yes.
And at first it's really hard to switch those scales and tip that balance into the other direction.
Yeah. One thing too is when you have more money, it's easier to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I want to tell people too.
Yes.
It's way easier when you have money to be like, nah, I like the way I feel. I just want to keep feeling. I don't want this feeling to go away. And I'm good now. Like I don't have to reach for things like, you know what I'm saying? I would rather just make a smart purchase or wait or be patient because I'm good right now. And I think that when I didn't have money, I was always scrambling to like fill my fridge. And I was always like getting money, spending all the money, getting money, spending all the money. And I was just in that habit. Mm-hmm. And then once I started to build like a little bit of like just foundation money, then I was like, I don't want to spend any of that money. I don't want to spend any more money. All I want to do is add to the foundation money. Mm-hmm. Let's get that number higher. And that, I think that came with like a maturity of age too, because it was really hard when I was younger to just.
Yeah, the experience of running the finance simulation over time.
Yeah.
More simulations run, more.
Because time tells the truth, and
time will tell the truth.
Being broke forever sucks.
Time will tell the truth and only the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
Nothing but the truth.
So help you God.
That's what it was. Yeah. Amen.
You got me pre-live, baby.
That works fine too.
Pre-live there.
That works just as well.
Where were we at? 112?
Yeah, we still got a good little 15 spot or so. Little 15 spot.
Nice. I went 112 without checking. I feel good about that.
With this being, I think there's one thing on my phone I want to mention, but or I think on my phone I have like a pod stories app or note,
Nice.
An app of notes, and then within that app of notes, a podcast story.
Fuck yeah.
Note. But I think on that, I just want to talk about or I wanted to bring up a story that I heard on David Goggins' new book on Audible. I love that man. Another guy that we need to bring up. We're probably going to refer to him a lot. David Goggins. Another one of my coaches. Another one of my spiritual coaches.
One of my best friends.
One of my dogs. Can't wait to tell him. But Goggins, he is I guess, ex-Navy SEAL, just like full-on badass, running 100-mile races like it's nothing.
Yeah, it's ultra marathon.
Going crazy, bro. Like the hardest man in the world.
He's run like the more consecutive ultra marathons than anybody else. There's no one has a resume like he does.
You can't knock it. You can't knock it. Haters will try to knock it. And there was a part of his book where he talks about, he's like, I get messages from haters, man. It's crazy, man. Like, and you know what I do with them? I say them. I get all these texts. I get all these tweets, and I read them to myself. I make an audio recording of a tape recorder, and I read these motherfuckers. And then you know what I do with that? I play it on my runs. He's that kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. That's so hard. It's too hard.
He's hard, bro.
It's too hard.
That guy is a hard man.
There's a part of my brain that is that. I get it. It's just so hard to be that turnt all the time.
You need to be that hard. You need to be that savage.
Because you push people away from you. That's where I draw the line to some degree. Is I don't want to push people away from me.
Yeah,
to
sure.
just be. I mean, how angry.
There's a balance.
Yeah.
There's a balance, of course, for sure. I think
I'd rather forgive
he has
somebody.
Such truth. He has such truth.
Oh yeah, I fucking love that guy.
He has such truth.
He teaches me more about myself than a lot of people ever could. Thank God he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah, if he comes off as a little abrasive or a little rough, I would just say, let's just lean into it a little bit.
Turn on your inner Texas football player.
Lean into it a little bit.
I want you to go watch. If he's tough, go watch Friday Night Lights for a full season.
I've never seen that movie or show. By the way, is it fantastic?
I would watch it. Okay. I mean,
heard.
It was great. It was super great when I was 18 years old and I was like living in like that
football time.
Yeah, and it was like a Texas
football
town.
Times in high school.
Like hey how it was a fucking they're roping doodles or whatever they do.
Roping doodles.
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah. So it was like
Little
fucking
lassies.
a little bit like that, or at least you could play it up in your mind and kind of be like, dramatize it. But no, but it was good. There's a lot of it's just so heartfelt. It's like really emotional watching. Like Coach Taylor, he's one of the best coaches in like fictional writing ever.
Really?
Yeah, super great coach, super great actor. He's fucking amazing. Like, definitely, my mom when she was alive was like, "That's a man."
That's a man.
Yeah, for real. So it helped me identify what like a family woman likes to see in like
Some
an adult man. You know what I'm
proper
saying?
adult male behavior.
Yeah, exactly. Not that like my
Characteristics.
stepdad or dad didn't have those either, but it just like how women are
Yeah,
with
it's like here,
proper role models. They're
Yeah.
males. So yeah, super good
aim
show.
towards that.
But part of it gets you real hyped up and gassed up for knocking heads and fucking competing with them boys on Friday.
Let's go. You
So,
need
yeah.
that for Goggins.
Yeah, just getting that
You're gonna need that for
mindset
Goggins.
for sure. If you're in that like it's a dog eat dog world, I'm trying to risk it for the biscuit. I'm trying to provide for my family. Like that dude will help you knock some
Let's
doors
go.
down.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I highly recommend watching him on Joe Rogan.
Welcome
highly
to the
recommend
war,
it.
brother and sister.
Highly recommend it. But somewhere in the beginning of his book, he mentions an experiment that was run, and I guess it was, I guess the conclusion kind of alluded to the idea of like hope being like a true, more or less not tangible, but it is like a real thing. Like because I guess the way that they found this out through the experiment sounds a little fucked up, but they had some rats and like they put them in a test group 1 of rats, put them in a big glass jar of water. And then they swam around for, I don't know, X amount of time. The time was very short, less than a couple minutes. And then they just drowned and died. But then test 2 of rats, they put them in the same jars. They swam around for a little bit. They started to drown, and then they got saved. And they picked them up. And they patted them dry. They let them stabilize with their heart rates and everything, cool them down, temperatures. And then they dunked them back in the water again. And then that time, those rats swam for, I don't want to be like overly grossly out of statistical data, but I'm pretty sure it was like 24 plus hours of swimming. It's like the idea that like, oh no, I will get saved. I will get saved. There's like there is a willpower that stems from a hope, that stems from a belief, that stems from a faith, that stems from a thing that you can't even think about that belongs in rats. It's probably also in your brain too.
Fucked up. I'm fucked up. Yeah.
I remember him saying that in the book, like in the opening parts of the audiobook, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
Preach, rats!
Tap into that.
The
Because
knowing.
help's on the way. Help is
Help's on the
coming.
way.
Yes. And just put yourself on the fucking line. That's what Jordan Peterson says is like put some skin in the game. Put yourself on the line. Like get into that risky territory where you're risking a lot for something that might not happen. And you're giving it all you got. You're all the way out there. And not a
All the way
gross
out
way.
there.
Just like a very like I'm committed. This is what commitment looks like. Like that's the place where then you're gonna have to survive on 24 hours of rat hope. For real.
Some rat hope.
For real,
On
dog.
the rat hole.
Yeah, for real. Rat hope in a foxhole.
Yeah, rat hole. Yeah, foxhole turned rat hole, bro.
Yeah, for real. And that it's nice to have someone on an audiobook telling you it's worth it. That's for sure.
Yes, I
But-
highly recommend his audiobooks as well. That one in which the rat story was his second book, and that one is called
Never finished.
Never Finished. There we go. Yeah, Never Finished. And the first one is called Can't Hurt Me. Both of them are fantastic, or at least I'm probably halfway or so through the second one, but both of them are fantastic. I love that guy. He's just a hard man, and he I think he can help orient you towards proper ideals that help you win in life,
I want to just
that help make the story more enjoyable. Because you're in a story, might as well be a comedy. And so isn't it like a comedy, all is well that ends well, and then a drama is anything aside from that?
or
More
a
or less.
tragedy.
Yeah,
Not a drama.
tragedy. What did I say?
Drama.
Yeah, okay. A tragedy and comedy. There we go.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, so
All's well that ends well.
And a comedy. That's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Make your story a comedy, man.
For sure.
You have to. You're in one regardless.
Yeah, 100%.
If you're not in a comedy, it's a tragedy. Oh, that's hard.
He
Sorry.
found it. He's dancing around it. Where's the bar here?
There's a bar in there. I wasn't even trying.
Boom, dynamite.
And that's why we make music.
Yeah, facts. 100%. And at any given time, I just being able to laugh at a situation and not. I struggle with hearing that. That's tough advice for me to swallow as a person. Is like just like detach or just laugh at it. Like fucking here we are again.
I think there's a point in Training Day with Denzel and Ethan Hawke,
Mhm.
and whenever he takes the whatever drug it is, whatever drug they're because they're
He
cops.
thinks he's smoking weed.
They're undercover cops, and if you've never seen the movie, it's a great movie. They're undercover cops, and Ethan Hawke's first day on the job, and he's partnering with Denzel, and Denzel's like, "Hey man, like I gotta know you're cool, bro." Or like whenever we're like undercover, bro, like you gotta make sure that people are gonna try to test you, and like we're not in like a good side of town, and you don't look the part, so they're gonna ask you to probably like smoke this more or less. And he's like, "Okay, I'm game," and he smokes it, thinking it's weed or whatever, but it's like LSD, PCP or some shit. Yeah. And then during his PCP trip, he says something. I remember him saying, I remember taking note of it, but he says something along the lines of, like there's smiley faces and frowny faces. You got to turn the frowny faces into smiley faces. It's like something along those lines. But that's, I think, what he's alluding to is the trip of the realization of it's only comedy or tragedy. And all you can do in your life is try to be able to alchemy and transmute the frowny faces into smiley faces by changing your orientation.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's fucking. If he didn't mean that, he probably did.
Whoever wrote that, I'm sure that was probably what they're alluding to. They probably took some drugs in their day.
Yeah.
And if not, then that was kind of just crazy.
For real.
My interpretation was a little bit crazy then if that was
Balling,
the intention.
I thought when I first watched it, I thought he was talking about as a cop. He's like, they're sad motherfuckers, and I just want to make them happy motherfuckers. but yours is fucking. If it dead on the money for what we're talking about for sure.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah, and in a moment of incredible stress too, I feel if I can just take that frowny face and just find a way, just whatever it takes for that moment.
Any cost, your life depends on it.
Yeah, to just be like, oh, here we are. This is crazy.
I'm
okay,
fucked, I guess I'm just fucked then.
Okay, well let's find out.
Take it on the chin. On the chin.
Let's find out how this one goes.
Right on the chin, please.
Yeah, I almost like the more impossible it is, the crazy, because my brain wants to go from straight up like absurdity. This is absurd to. But what if you did?
But what if, though?
And David Goggins talks about the power of what if.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, wait, what if I added this to the fucking laundry list of crazy motherfucking shit I've been doing lately?
Yeah, it's like, oh man, this guy did X amount of pull-ups in 24 hours. And like, oh, that's crazy. He's like, how many is that per hour?
What if I did 300 more? Then they'd say I did this many per hour. Fuck them, I'm doing it.
I could do that. I could break that down. I could do that much per hour, per 10 minutes, per minute.
Yeah,
I can do that.
So,
taking instead of oh my god, it's impossible, overwhelmingly impossible, to how is this possible?
Yeah,
but how though? But what if?
I also just think the what if of the
or
story.
It's the reverse engineering. It's like if I did do it, how would it look? How did I did it? Okay, how did I get there?
Yeah, yeah, and allowing yourself to feel what it would feel like, because I think that's part of it too. Some people can't ever see themselves as someone who would do that. It's like, no, okay, if I were that person, how would it feel? And then you let yourself free enough to start thinking of the possibilities maybe to actually make that thing happen.
Yes, bro.
We're all willing to pay the price. That's the thing, is like, it's not like we're all
willing to pay the price?
I think to some degree, it's not like you don't. The crazy thing is there's a lot of people that are willing to grind for their goal. But of people that are willing to grind for their goal, there's still a big chunk of people that are not going to achieve their goal. And
absolutely.
That's why you need to.
Well, I think, sorry, but to interject, like they're not going to achieve their goal, but I think if a little, like to what I said earlier, like if you're able to lose that and like have it be replaced with something better potentially.
Yeah, super true.
Because I think if you are like true in your intention, and you will get the goal or something better.
Or something better that's crucial.
That's the asterisk.
What you deserve, you might get what you deserve, which would be something better.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
If you're honoring time in the correct way for long enough.
Yeah, it's full circle loop.
Whoosh.
Damn, we got that last one in there. Flip that one in there too.
Get that in there.
Yeah, so that's why I trust the process, baby. Like I play for Pelicans.
Trust the process, 76ers.
Like, yeah, okay.
Embiid.
So what's like I play for Philly. Trust the process like I play for Philly. Come on.
There it is.
Yeah. I want to trust the process. Give everything I got. Put all my skin in the game.
Giving everything you got is that's key as well. That's one of the 4 agreements that they kind of talked about at work. One of our pre-shifts, the doing your best.
Yeah.
That's part of the recipe as well.
Yeah.
You have to want the best.
That tears down a lot of doors.
And give your full effort. I think it's easy to withhold your full effort because it is an excuse for yourself later on if you don't achieve it. You're like, well, I didn't even try. You know, I remember like playing Call of Duty and being like, I didn't even give it my all this game. I don't really care. Care. And people in that team were talking shit. I'm like, okay, Okay. Want me to set my intention? Want me to set my intention? You little bitch.
That is a real thing. And then sometimes you would get killed really fast right when you were about to turn on your attention, and then you just feel your attention instantly
Yeah,
deflate
you
like a balloon.
deflated. You're
Yeah.
like, oh, I suck.
Yeah. It leaves lobby. Like
Yes.
that. Yeah, that's a real thing though, is that I would even study that thing because motherfuckers talk shit, dog, and I want to get to the bottom of these things. So I'm like, sometimes
The bottom of what people talking shit.
competency, I don't know, like
Okay.
who's right when they're talking, everyone's talking shit, who's gonna win. So like there are those moments where you're like, I'm gonna set my intention and you can get yourself hot, but like it's not enough you need to have started in that lukewarm position, like, okay, I intend to get hot, I'm getting hot, I'm going off, and then you need to like not overheat. I'm not overheating.
Yeah.
And I'm landing the plane, we won. Shut the fuck up, get out of my lobby.
Dubs.
Like that's the picture to paint. But whenever it would first happen, you'd be like, well, for me, when it would first happen, I would get upset that the guy's talking shit. I'd be like, fuck that guy, he's talking shit to me and my friends.
Who's that guy?
Yeah.
Who are you, huh? You talk to me over the internet?
What have you done,
Bitch?
What's your resume that allows you to put me in my place?
Yeah.
And then,
You my boss? What the fuck?
And then I would be like, okay, I'm going to turn up. But then if you just get railed after you're like, no, my friends are better. And then you lose, it hurts really bad. But does that mean you should stop
Hurts
playing?
awfully.
Probably not.
Nah.
But you can't make the internet trolls go away. You can't make the bad guys stop talking shit. The only thing you can do is beat them.
And
then-
I think that maybe I don't think there ever is a way to beat them, or like in a more abstract sense. I think that
Because you
shit
can't
talking's
win
always
every
gonna
game you
happen.
play either.
Shit talking, people are always gonna talk shit. People are always gonna talk shit, and like even if they're like just talking shit for this game, it's like the game's over, and they're still talking shit, regardless of the result. It's like I remember being a Lakers fan growing up, and people being like, "Oh, Kobe sucks." I was like, he just dubbed up. He just dubbed back to back. Like that man sucks.
I don't think he sucks at all.
After the first time, that guy sucks.
I think
the second time, that guy sucks. After the second back to back, it's like, that guy sucks. It's like I think it's just an ever present thing.
Yeah.
People just talk shit, man.
Yeah.
I think though some of those people who are talking that shit, they can have their axioms changed and they can have their mind persuaded into like an acceptance of like, okay, maybe I was a little bit more harsh than I should have been back then. Maybe he doesn't suck.
Maybe the truth behind the fact that they can always talk shit makes me want them to be wrong. I don't like it when they're talking shit and they're right. That's when I'm like, I gotta go. I gotta make a play. They don't get to talk shit and be right. I ain't going out like that, Bobby. That's how I start to feel inside. But then, so the thing is, I know in myself, don't get caught off guard. Don't be in the middle of a game and someone starts talking their shit, and now it's going to be hard for you it's very hard to stop the momentum, to grab the reins, and to start trekking in the right direction. It's much easier to start the game and say, hey, we're going to go in the right direction. Everybody knows we're going in the right direction, okay? All right, no easy stuff. Let's take what we can get and start going that way. And then when things start getting intense and heavy, be like, hey, let's go.
Remember?
You know what we wanted to do here? And then everybody's kind of on that same page. It's an easy swell. to get everybody to pop from there.
Yeah, or to resynchronize back into the tempo of on the up and up.
Yeah. Because a lot of what I've noticed too with really intense leaders, a lot of it just comes down to one leader saying, we're taking the momentum. And then a killer needs to kill. Now that team they're going to start going up. Then this leader needs to say, not so fast. They're not taking our momentum at home.
No.
And then a
I'm
killer
losing at home. I'm tired of losing at home.
And then someone's got to make a play. And then they take the momentum. So a lot of times it comes down to the two things. It takes down to like the vocal leader, like being aware enough to finding the perfect moment. Like you need to, because sometimes the team's going off and it's not quite the right time to say like, to make your stand. To say, okay, I'm taking the momentum back for us. Sometimes you need to like, let the doldrums play out. They got a basket. Okay, hold on. I think we took two or three off of them. Big three by them, but I think we still got them. Then we score, like turnover, score again. But so we still got them. You need to like stay in that cut. But like whenever you feel like it's easy to see sometimes like big three, dunk, timeout.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh no, it's like the worst
Momentum
case.
is shifting.
Yeah, they got the momentum on your ass. So like you need to find those when it comes to winning in that sense. It's like have your intention from the start so that when the swell happens, you can strategically be ready to take the momentum back for your team distribute to a killer. Hopefully they do their job because it's like the leadership, and then you got to have the competent person that buries the bucket. Because if the best articulator in the world, if no one buries that bucket, you're gonna lose. So like, hopefully you got someone you can lean on. You know what I'm saying? I feel like usually you have like one verified crazy killer on every team, but we've got like 6 or 7 on our team. I'm trying to stack. That's my favorite piece on the team. Like, give me 8 names, please.
You're a great team.
Yeah, and then strategize your final comeback. Your final comeback needs to hit and last to the end. And a lot of times, what that looks like in the actual physicality of that moment. Fuck, we went over an hour and a half.
No, we have time.
We're good?
Yeah, we have like a minute.
There's a wall of resistance. And it's like, this is the effort it takes to beat that team, to play at this level that winning requires. And then fatigue happens, and I feel the burn. It's like burning. The jumps are burning my quads harder than it was. Like, my calves are getting tight. And it's like, don't back out, stay here. And then it's over. Eventually it's over, and you rest, and your muscles are going to go back.
Get back,
but
baby.
It's like, part of that winning is standing there in the wind and just feeling, no, I will not let go. Prevail. There it is. Prevail. Whatever. It's late. I'm sorry. I don't have all that morning juice.
Yeah, good dog.
But yeah, that's like, when I think about winning, like, those are the things that light up in my mind. It's the start early, get your easy buckets. So when you got to swell, we're ready to swell. And then when you're swelling, be strategic. Make sure you let them have theirs, and when you got to take it back, you take it back.
Let's go.
And then fucking close. Don't give up at the end. Finish strong.
Let's go. Oh yeah.
And then that shit translates like into everything I fucking do. Oh, because you know why? I know all those things.
Oh, speaking of which, we need to close.
I know all those things because fuck the shit talking. I hate that stuff.
Okay.
All those came from Call of Duty late nights playing in lobbies, and I was like, how do I stop this breaking of my heart?
Nice.
And then all those things.
With that being said, thank y'all for tuning in. Appreciate you. Episode 2 of the MJ38 podcast, MJ38 show. More podcasts dropping. More music dropping. We'll see y'all soon.
Bye.
Goodbye.